the within our third eye and within our soul and within our spirit, and that is in us. And so tonight we're going to be talking about we are the living dead. And I'm going to explain that to you. That doesn't mean we're zombies, but there are a few people who remind me of zombies. Um, I and vampires sometimes, but I am going to be talking about through my experience, my practice, my learning, I come from my perspective. And that is very, um, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my witch's broom, and we're just going to go into it. So, we all have a purpose, and some people find that purpose, and some people don't. Some people don't know that there is a purpose beyond, you know, grow up, fit in this box that says you're a boy, fit in this box that says you're a girl, get married, have a job, get a house, and that's the extent of your journey. And for a lot of people, that's the extent of their journey. And sometimes they can't even reach that. I mean, a lot of us don't get to reach even that basic thing, and that's okay. That's another thing is learning not to fret over not being like everybody else, or being able to jump the hoops, or being able to fit into a box that's not yours to fit into. And uh, where does our purpose come from? Why do we have it? Why are we driven to fall in line, or driven to color outside the lines? And I'm one of those that colors outside the lines, baby. But it wasn't easy, because when I was, born, uh, there was no individuality expected from me. They had an idea. That was it. If you didn't reach that idea, then you were a failure, which I would have failed trying to meet their idea, which I did try to meet their idea, and it just about killed me inside. And because it was a fake idea, and it was their idea, and they weren't even reaching any ideas they should have, been doing, like being, uh, you know, what people think a parent should be, or what families should be, or what blood should be. Um, some of us are very lucky that we fall into life, and I know some people that had wonderful childhoods, wonderful births and childhoods, and they were wanted, and their lives blossomed, and they recall their childhoods like seeing color through a piece of amber. And then for some of us, it's not that way. And our concept is because these people who have us love, they're supposed to love us, supposed to want us, supposed to watch after us, and that just isn't true for the majority of all of it. And when you come into life, then there's a kind of a preset that this is what you're supposed to accomplish. And then, that comes in through the soul, who knows that's the older part of you. The spirit, which is you, the new developed developing consciousness. You're a consciousness when you come in. I mean, before I was born. I mean, I remember where I was before I was born. I remember being talked to, and they were telling me, it's basically get ready, here it comes, and you'll be happy that here it comes. And so I knew there was something kind of pre-made for uh, me to follow or to accomplish. And I knew that from a early age, but I was very happy when I first came in. I was so happy to be back. And it was a feeling of being back. Like, don't you miss me? Didn't you miss me? You know? And they certainly didn't, in my case. But that's okay. I wasn't supposed to be them. And, you know, I've had several spiritual experiences in my life that I feel very blessed to have had. And the first one, of course, was before birth. And I'm going to explain why I consider myself one of the living dead. Not a zombie, not something spooky, but um, and how I think other people are. And because I mean, for the moment of birth, we're dying. It's like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And some people don't make it, some people do. But our body begins to degrade as soon as it's made. It's just the vehicle. It's like getting in a car, taking it off the car lot. It begins to degrade and devalue as soon as you put your foot on the pedal. So, um, I have to let the little thoughts in my mind roll around like marbles because I have no marbles left. Um, but your body is degrading at the moment, the second it's made, and it's fighting to survive, however long you live. And like I said, some people don't make it past 10 minutes. Some people don't even make it that. Some people. I'm 62, and there are so many people I know that have died that in their 20s and 30s and in childhood. Um, I think about in high school there was this little boy. He was just challenged, very sweet, but of course you know how the world is to sweet, unique people. And he was bullied a lot. And this bully, we were going to do the musical Oklahoma, and this little boy was. It was when we were in 10th grade, I think. I mean, 10th grade. 10th grade. And it seems so long ago. It's been over 40 years. And he had to be 16, 17, very young, around there. And this bully was picking on him after church one day, and he had a lunch pail, and he was picking on him. And so the little boy, I call him a little boy because he seems like a child to me now, and he hit him with his pail, and it knocked the bully out. He thought he killed him. He went home and hung himself. And that was in like 1980. So we're saying like what, 44 years ago? And he was just 15, 16. I've known children who didn't make it past the age of 6 and 2, and I think, these sweet little creatures that just are too gentle to make it. And but that's okay. They'll, if they get a chance, they can come back and try it again in a different circumstance, as far as I'm concerned. Because I believe in reincarnation. I believe in DNA reincarnation. I believe in spiritual reincarnation. And I think that's part of, even in the Christian thing, even though it's been edited around, But I feel like the you must be reborn, that's what it is. That's reincarnation. That's how you get consciousness. That's how you become more than a little drone, more than a little zombie, more than a little follower, more than a little worker bee, more, there's purpose. And what you do at the time you have is so important. And the way you find that out, when I tell some people, and I have to use my near death, as examples quite a bit, because there's so much to it for me that helps me help other people. And, where it was a trauma, now it's not a trauma anymore. It was a doorway to consciousness and a doorway to my inner self and my inner knowledge. And my inner self has really, I've always known it's there, but there were times in life I couldn't accomplish that. I couldn't reach it. And going through the death process, you won't, for other people who've come through this process before where you've nearly died, where you started the process, may understand me when I say you'll never feel more alive than when you're almost dead. Because when the process starts, you're so crisp, you're so excited, you're so stimulated, and it's so psychedelic and so technicolor and so aware and clean and crisp and so real, because it's your reality, it's your energy reality. And even scientists say energy can't be destroyed. So your soul is part of that energy. It doesn't get destroyed. But what and where does it go? What does it do? And in the future, I will discuss that part, because when I do the Psychic Worm Stitch, a book I'm doing, I will explain in my own way what's beyond that veil that we don't normally go through or go into. Um, but it's, like, life is the mystery to me. Death isn't the mystery anymore. It's life, it's the mystery. It baffles me all the time. And being someone who is, I have a lot of physical disabilities. You can't always see by looking at me. But, I mean, I've been hurt and damaged so badly. See, like sitting here, if somebody goes to a doctor and they say, "Oh, what's your pain level?" "Oh, it's a 10. It's a 20." Mine is usually like a 6 or a 7 on a scale of 10. And sometimes I have to say 11. But I was raised from a very young age to be in pain. My parents really were excited for me to be in pain because they thought it would make me a tough little. They were hoping they would get a tough kid out of it, I guess, or one that they could beat down. And I became a tough kid. Or tough individual inside because of the pain. So the pain, I spent my youth in pain. So now I'm in my adulthood, I can deal with pain. A lot of people don't start to experience pain until they get older. And then you're not used to it because a lot of people have had good health, and they don't know what that feels like, when those ribs are broken, or, you've had your arms come out of place and your shoulders come out of place, and you've had your back beat, and you've had your um, legs stomped, and you've broken your ankles, or you've broken, this or that and the other. Um, Anything you do, I had a friend who just was hit by a car in Chattanooga, and she's in her 60s, and she was knocked down the road, broke both her ankles, broke her hand. I think one hand broke some ribs, and had a catastrophic head injury. And she's living and in rehab right now. But her life will never be the same. You never it literally changes you so much when you have those kind of things happen that you're never your older self is your in there, or it's the echo, but you're the new person. This is the new you. And the new you doesn't always come with happiness and sweetness and a great body and no pain and fluffy clouds. It comes with how do I wake up and deal with this? How do I walk? How do I put myself together? Which is normal for a lot of people. How do I make it through this day? And um, some people make it, some people don't. And religion would have you believe, if they don't make it, well, if they weren't a member of my church, they've gone somewhere hot, or if they just couldn't stand it, because of the chemicals in their bodies, or the depression, or the oppression, and they just couldn't handle it. Because sometimes life is so much harder than death. A lot of people people who kill themselves, they're more afraid of life than they are death. And I can understand that. Life is something else. It's not. It doesn't have it. Nobody definitely puts us through training on how to be people. And even if they did, they'd fail, because so many people I know that they would fail being humans. Take my word for it. They would not get a grade that would benefit them any. And then there are people who go through life little angels, sweet, sweet, sweet. When I was little, children were so cruel. And childhood was a very cruel thing for me. But very oddly for me, from the age of when I was in diapers on up, until I was a teenager, I just wanted to hang out with 80-year-olds. They had stories. They were wonderful. They were sweet to me. They enjoyed having a child paying attention to them. And they shared stories and wisdom that the children didn't have. The children I was exposed to weren't sweet and kind and considerate. I had a few around me, but not many. And the elders I always was drawn to that. I just was somebody who I loved elders. I loved people that were had something to them, and that had something, but the problem when I was young, you know, was I was in the age where when because of the fear of aging, people dealing with people who get old, it became in the 60s, it all became about youth. And if you became old, then you were, getting tossed. In Hollywood, it was brought up to that, in the 50s and 60s. If you were a woman and you were approaching 40, they thought your charm and your beauty and everything, it's over. Chunk, next. And there were women like Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, Liz Taylor, all these beautiful women, and Jane Russell, people would just write them off. Hollywood wrote them off at 40. And 40 is when you really blossom, because then you're getting past all the crap and, the what you think you're supposed to do. And they would just chunk. At 40, you were over the hill. Now, for a guy, which the world is still run by men, they were like, oh yeah, well, if you're 50, 60, and 70, you're still hot. And in the 50s, they would put these old geezers, which were good actors, but they were starting to look like old geezers, next to Kim Novak and Marilyn and Jane and all these actresses, were having to act with these men that were 20, 30, 40 years older than them. And that was okay, and it was kind of like strange. But they still do that in things. So it's like men get better, women age, and gay people have to deal with that too. They don't age well usually because they're like, oh, it's time to get that ASR rear cocking. And being an old gay lavender person myself, I'm very unusual. I really age. I've loved getting older. The pain of the age is okay because I'm used to the pain. So it's not been the big hurdle. But, I thought because I would probably look like my father, I thought I'm going to have to get a plastic surgery fund and take care of it because my dad was pretty damn scary looking in person for a while. Uh, and I thought, well, we'll get some of that ace hardware cracking. We'll have someone stick a air hose in my face and blow it up. Whatever has to happen if I start to look like that. And fortunately, I started looking like my mom, which is, you just kind of look normal, you know. And so I feel like ageism is ridiculous. I feel better at 62 than I did at 28, 20, 18. As far as like, I love the confidence you get as an elder. I love the life experience you get as an elder. I love the just everything about this. I love it, and I feel good. And I think if you feel good, it will. If you feel good about yourself, it's going to show outside. But around us, it's a thing of people pushing for eternal youth. People at 18 and 20 going and getting facelifts. Ridiculous. People going, I have a blemish. My life is ruined. And it's like, go live as a person without a hand or a foot. Go learn what it is to be disfigured. That's how past lives help us because we get to learn those things. You get to learn if you were a person that was so worried about a little blemish here that your life was ruined and you couldn't go out into this to see anyone, and then you see someone who's lost their face or been burned or someone threw acid on them or um, hurt in a accident, or maybe not even an accident, maybe birth defects, and it's not, and people treat people so horribly. I'm having to check and make sure someone messaged me, and I'm making sure it's not someone who I need to get it. Okay, it was a good text. So, the and people hold people accountable because they're aging, because maybe they don't look beautiful like they did 10 years ago. Maybe they do have a defect. Maybe you have a kind of thing. Um, that what can you do about that? You can't do anything about your eye color, your hair color, and you can't help it what happened in the womb or what happened through an accident. But people act like they hold you accountable and terrorize you. And instead of looking into themselves and saying, if I were that person, how would I feel? Would I want to be treated that way? They do it and do it viciously. And in my family, they would do that. If somebody did something ugly to them, they had to do it to you. It was their job. And that would be their explanation. Well, they did it to me. And here I am as a kid going, but you didn't like it, so why do it? Now, For me, how I'm going to explain how am I the living dead? Ooh. Well, like I said from birth, I knew where I was before I was born. Of course, I tried telling my mother that when I was 3 or 4, and well, when I was 4, I tried telling her, and that didn't go over because her religion, her beliefs did not align with that. That there was something before, and there's only now. And then after it, you go sit on a fluffy cloud, and your wings flap, and you do what? I don't know what you're supposed to do, but you do something. But from my death experience, it took a few years. I saw all this stuff, and it took a few years for it to settle in. And every few years, I would, because it's been 32 years, so I really started to analyze some of it in the 90s, later 90s, early 2000s. And when every time you open, I say, every time you open a closet, a bone falls out. Um, that's kind of like what happened to me. Every time I look at one of these things, and I go, well, what's that? Because I drew out everything. I thought when I started to get ready to do my first book, Chattanooga Chills, I I drew a picture of what it looked like when the vision started, which is a hill with the people in the shadows and the people in shadows against this yellowish green light, and I drew that, and I thought, what else do I remembered seeing things, and I was going, and at the time, when you start dying, your brain, your spirit, your energy it's much bigger. How your aura is. It's really kind of that size. So it's kind of stuffed. The center of it is stuffed into your meat pie, your body. So you're kind of put into this vessel with a funnel, and we astrally project all the time. When you're dreaming, you're astrally projecting because you need a break out of this body ever so often, and that's why if you get trauma, you'll do the out of body experience because your system is needing to get out of the body so that it's too um, traumatic whatever's happening to you, so you kind of leave your body and go into the outer part of your aura. And that happened to me when I was in second grade because my father was monstrous. If you had to help him, if he had to help you with something, and here he was, he was brilliant, intelligent. Math was his thing, and my mother would sick him on you, if you needed help with your math, and he hated doing anything, and she made him help me with my math. And well, the year before he had helped my sister, and she didn't get the first. He asked her the first question. She didn't get it on the first answer. She didn't get it correct. My sister was challenged in her own ways, and so she just didn't get it. It was a simple question to him, but she was challenged, and he went off because she didn't get it the right. If you didn't get it the first time, then they would go. He would go off on you, raging, 6'4" monster, and it culminated in him hitting my mother, trying to hit my sister, and then my mother got him. It was a turning point because he chased my mother down the hallway, going to beat her up some more, and I saw him come running back down the hallway, turned white, And she's throwing her wedding pictures and everything, all this stuff. It looked like a tornado. And she said, "Touch me again, and you'll die in your sleep." And let me tell you what. Anytime he ever thought of doing that again, he'd ball up at fist, and she'd go right ahead. And he would turn white and put his hand down, and that would be the end of that. And so um, I learned some things from that experience. But the fear that I had, because then a few months later, I came home and my mother says, "Help him with his math work." I about had a I just I couldn't. I was terrified. And I remember but he learned his lesson from the first time, and he sat down and talked to me through it. The only time in my life he ever helped me with a math problem, but he knew not to do it because she was going to get him if he didn't do it. And he did it. He hated every second of it. And I was so terrified that I had an out of body experience to get away from him because I couldn't get away from him physically. And it gave me a mental block on math from then on, because it scared me so bad. I thought, I'd seen him beat my mother, I'd seen him do this, from the same circumstance. And so, no matter the fact that she won that round, I guess, I was just terrified he was going to do me because he always, I was terrified to ever hear my name mentioned when I was little, because it would turn out bad. But but I learned later, I mean, when you do an astral projection, now I can astrally project naturally because I learned the aspects, the basics of how to do that. But when I was then, I was at the top of the room looking down at my body because I got out of my body because I couldn't. If I could have ran out of that house, I would have. And if I had tried, they would have killed me. They would have beat me beyond blue. And but it taught me a lot about the spirit. The spirit will sometimes it gets a little bit too intense for the spirit. Now, when I was born, knew that the spirit was there talking to me. The soul was talking to me. I was the spirit. Now, the way I know for me, from my learning, how that there is reincarnation. I'm reincarnated from other people from before, but this life, I'm reincarnated from two babies that did not make it. My uncle's child named Mark Edwards, uh, you know, um, who lived 2 days, was an unwanted baby, and died. And that was in the 40s, like 45, 46. Then my mother, her first child she was going to have, my dad, was jealous, and his mother was promoting her baby. He pushed her down the steps, and she lost that baby. And it was already ready to be connected in and born. Most spirits get to come in early, or at certain points. Um, so when it was my turn to be born, the soul was there talking to me. This is what I remember. And it was like, we're getting ready to go. This is what to expect. And, uh, but since I didn't, I was being reincarnated from us too, to make sure that they couldn't interrupt the birth, because the last time my mother that had after the first one, when my father pushed her down the steps, she had my two older brothers and my sister. But they weren't sure on this one because, he didn't want another one. She didn't want another one unless it was a girl. So, to make sure that I made it, they waited until the baby was going down the canal, and I remember going down down like a tunnel, or a funnel, but it's a dendrite, and I went right into the baby. Then I forgot everything. Then the next thing I knew, I woke up when I was in diapers. I was about 2 years old, 18 months to 2 years, because I know what was going on around me when I woke up. It was like click, and from the age of 3 on, then I was okay. They were talking about me. I thought I was I thought, I loved my mother, of course, because most people do love their mothers. But to the age of 3, my spirit was so happy. And my mother would say, he was a happy baby. You were a happy baby. You didn't cry unnecessarily. You were just happy and smiled. And my aunt, Martha, was worried about that. She thought it was too weird because I was just a little too happy. And after 3, then, because I was too, whatever, too gentle, the ants and stuff started going, he's gonna be one of those, which they were right. And but they were I can't tell you the name they were calling me at the age of 3, and my mother was allowing it. And then they punished me because they were embarrassed that the ants were saying that. So they were beating me because I was a gentle child. It had nothing to do with what you would think. It was just because I wasn't a boy like my brothers. And they just, and that was the worst thing in the world. So they did everything they could. They believed it was good for me to suffer, to learn from it. When I was born, I got the name Mark Elliott. I was supposed to be called Matthew, but my mother, when she was born, she was pitching a fit when I wasn't a girl. So she said, name him Mark Elliott, damn it, and leave me alone. Well, I didn't know where the name Mark came from out of my family, and then I just found out 2 years ago her brother's child, the only child he would have had, that he didn't want. Uh, it was Mark Edwards. I went, oh, and I got named after a dead radio announcer. So as far as the Elliot, that's where that came from. So I was already see the soul is there, and the soul had information. The spirit that I am, I was new, but I also it was the energy, the babies that did not make it. That little first one, Mark Edwards, didn't make it. So he was going to come through my mother because my mother was close to her brother who got killed when he was 25 in a car wreck. So then the first child she was going to have was going to be the reincarnation of Mark. And that baby was going to be called Betty Grace. And so that one didn't make it. So then when it came time for me and they wanted to make sure there's no chance for the daddy to do anything or anyone to do anything, we're going to make sure you get in here. So they got me around the corner. And so I already, your journey in life is to become who you are, to learn and become. But you have the energy and memory of other people. And that helps you in your journey becoming a person. You already have a set of encyclopedias to go by. You have a roadmap. You have something that these people already have. Now, we have DNA reincarnation, which is, and I mean, if you go on Ancestry.com, you'll know it. You know it. And think about, you have the DNA. Say, like, I'm related to Sir Francis Bacon from, that was around the time of Queen Elizabeth. Well, we're related to his father, who had other children, and then through one of the sons, stepbrother or whatever, or brother to. I have to go back through and find out. But we're related to uh, Sir Francis Bacon's father. We do have a line there. So that's to the 1500s, to England, over to Europe, and that's just one person, and it's just lots and lots and lots of people. So I can go through and find out, and then I find other people that I'm related to that I have more information about. That because your DNA, that person's information is living in you, not just their hair, not their eyes, your skin color, but their thoughts up until that moment is all in that little information. Now, it's also in the egg. People don't realize because you get your mother's stuff too. Because I have more, I think, from my mother's side than I do my father's. Well, that came from the egg. And so you're thinking, how many thousands from my father's side and thousands from my mother's side. Uh, each person is alive in you. You may pick up their artistic merit. You may have the ability to sing like one of them. You may have the issues, the mental health issues, the mental state issues, the intelligence, the not so intelligent. You get everything. Everything that they had is in there, and it's in this old part of your brain. It's stored in the cerebellum for some reason, but I think that's your head is kind of like a depository, and that's where the library is. The library, when they say the Akashic library is right here, baby, right in the back, and that is the library. Well, all of those people are alive in you, not necessarily functioning alive. The information that they have is stored there. Now, who you are, usually we have 6 or 7 guides and things like that help us, and there's a reason for that. And, the soul stays at the back of your head. It kind of fans out. We think of souls and spirits when we think it has a face. Well, really, they have a form more than a face and a function. And our spirit looks different than what you would think of, what we project and what we understand. What you're looking at, you might understand what you're seeing when you look at my face. If you saw what my spirit looked like, then you would be a little surprised because our spirits don't always look like our bodies. Now, because of the way the third eye works and projects, whatever form you're in, it's in it. Whatever it projects, um, then you would see the spirit as like you would see me if I died tomorrow, and then you came back and saw me Saturday. You might recognize me because if it projected this, then you would recognize it. But spirit energy and soul energy are energy. They're not particularly physical. They're more of like organism looking. I mean, because they're coming from the consciousness, which is a thinking brain. So they take on more of a neuron pattern, axon, terminals, and chords, and vibrations and things. And it's not important what they look like. But for us, it helps us perceive them and what's happening and perceive ourselves and perceive the people around us sometimes by going, oh, that's who that is, you know. But I can look at a spirit with my energy field and it will can't scan their energy and it'll say, oh, that's Uncle George. Oh, that's Aunt. That's who, you know, that's Joe. You know, eh, you know, not without having to see the person's face, because each thing has, um, basically, we are a little bubble of energy. We are a little sphere, an orbit of energy that starts from here, the third eye, at the top of your electrical system, your spine, and at the top of all your chakras and all that. So one way you have the DNA library. So that's you're functioning with all that information to work on. So you've got the energy and the information of those dead people. Because mostly I would say they're dead. If they put into except for maybe your parents and your grandparents or great grandparents, they usually are gone by the time you're born. And they are living in your body. So you're literally are that part. They are living and functioning and accessible. So it is you are part of the living dead, being influenced by the living dead. Not necessarily their consciousness, but their information that we access, and then we embrace it and mix it into our mix and turn it into something else for us. That's why they say nothing is new, it's just reinvented. So we take what we have from them and then mix that in with us, and then that helps us learn and understand. Maybe they did something that maybe they knew how to make fire. I don't know how to make fire, so all of a sudden, oh, I know how to make fire. Because I'm getting a memory or an echo from that information in my memory bank. Now, the spirit part of you, the part that you're developing, that is where you are the living person. It is the you right now. My spirit is the person I am right now. Now, I have elements of DNA reincarnation, and I see those things. I mean, I inherited art and music and doing things with my hands. I know where these things came from the different people. And I inherit those intrinsically. I mean, my cousin was an artist from the age of, birth. And I started being an artist from the age of 6 on up. But no one had to teach me. I knew what to do. And that came from the people, that's like a Mozart. You get a 3-year-old who can play the stew out of a piano and play like they're 100 years old. Well, that's part of the DNA reincarnation. Now, this part that's you, the thinking part, the spirit that is plugged into the third eye. That's who you are. The soul is there to help you and protect you and access these things and go try to say, think about this, offer you advice, whether you take it or not. But the spirit is who you are. It's the alive part of you. And some people don't like to think of reincarnation. Well, I believe in reincarnation. I believe I'm a reincarnated person. I'm a sitting here, but I'm me, and I can tell you I'm very definitely who I've created. They didn't go through what I went through, so I am that part is me, my addition. But I am definitely have benefited from their knowledge and their support, and I know have felt the influence of the reincarnated DNA and the reincarnated spirits, which are two different things. Not everything is reincarnation. Not everybody is reincarnated. There are sometimes new people, and sometimes they're very primitive. And there's a lot of people who can't verbalize and can't do what that they have to the human experience is a foreign thing to them because it's new. They don't know any. It's like a wildcat out in nature, except we as people act like we can't know something without being taught it. Uh, the animals know what to do, whether they, for a millennium, they know what to do. They know how to raise their children. They know how to to hunt for food. They know how to do this. The spider knows how to weave the web without being taught. The butterflies, the monarch butterflies, know where to go in a certain spot in the world that they've never been to before, probably will never be to again. And when I was young, there was a big thing about the lemmings. The some of the lemmings. There's a place where there was a place these lemmings. They look like little hamsters. Millions of them would migrate across a certain part of this land. Well, it flooded and it wasn't there anymore. So the new lemmings still were drawn to go that way. And they would drown, swimming in the water, jumping the way, trying so hard to go the way that they knew, not being taught. And they would do it to the death. And it was real strange. But I would go, well, it's already in their system. We already have all these things in our systems, how to, a lot of who we are to be as people. It's already in there, it's already loaded. We're a fully loaded thing in our brain. It's just we get talked down, we teach ourselves down, we get insecure. We don't know that there is that to choose because, like I said, when you're born and they go, well, you fit in this box. Don't look outside that box. That's you. Be that or else. And then even if you fit in that box and do whatever they want, da 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 da, that's not what is in your. It may not be. It may be what's in your system, and that's like it's okay. Then for some people, they don't fit into that, and they never have and never will, and then they're ostracized. Been there, done that. Ostracized quite well from where I come from. Because everything that I am is so opposite of what I was born into. And very dramatically. And when I was young, when you're young, you don't want to fit out. You want to fit in. You don't want to stick out because then people, that means you're going to get attention you don't need. And I was an invisible kid. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be outside the line. I wanted to fit in, and I mean, I went to church and I went to school and did all these things and tried to fit in. Never, ever, ever fit in. Never, 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 never. And even when you think you pick your tribe, whatever your tribe is, whether you're gay, straight, whether you're a performer, whether you're, whether it's because of your nationality, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether, it's because you like butter on your toast or mayonnaise on your fries, you know, you're never going to fit in, really. And so a lot of people feel very displaced. Now, when I was dying, I felt very at home. That was the first time I ever felt at home. And I always thought, that feeling of you're tired and you're like, I want to go home, but then you realize, I'm in my house, but I want to go home. And then when you start to die, you realize that is what you came from. So you remember it in the echoes of your brain, because you can't remember all of it. If you remembered all of it to begin with, then you wouldn't try. You wouldn't learn anything new because you go, okay, well, this is what I gotta do, and now do it. But click, 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 click. Maybe. Uh, it's a challenge, just like playing football. So when you're reincarnated, then you are a dead person who you may have some intent from the dead person before you. Some things like I didn't get to finish that. I need to finish. I need to try and get it done. Or this person that was in my life back then, now they're back. They're my mother, they're my father, they're my brother, they're my relationship. And I feel this connection to them that we have something to complete, but we can't complete it. And, so there's a lot of that. A lot of times you'll start to look back and go, oh, that's a reincarnation thing. That's someone that we didn't finish something then and we didn't finish it now. And if you don't tell the universe and tell the energy and say, nope, we're done, we don't need to repeat that, then you'll keep repeating it. Trying to fix something that, and sometimes what was important in your past life isn't important in this life, or it's not beneficial, or there's something that it's like some of the rituals they used to do in ancient days. There's some of things we can't recreate because there are grasses and herbs and things that don't exist anymore. So you wouldn't be able to do what people were doing back then. And it's the same thing now. It's like, there are some certain things you should not worry about in this life trying to complete, if it is not the purpose of what you need. Now, when I came back from being killed, um, when I was 18 and became metaphysical, and the first time you were kind of like they would ask you, why are you doing this? Why are you here? What's your intent? And I gave my intent to help people, to be creative, to help people and try to improve other people's lives. And it really was, I was more like a social worker. And also it was, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm here. I've got to do it. It's one of those things. So metaphysics, I have to do it. I have no choice. It is, I would just, no, it's just who I am. So when in the 90s, after my attack, and after I got finished with dealing with all that rigmarole, and going to court and going to things and winning cases, and learning that okay, now this is what life has given me, what I'm going to do with it. Then going, okay, what's my real purpose? Because whatever the purpose was, the person I was that was killed, that died there, I am that person, but I'm also different. I'm more expanded, and my soul and spirit are a little different. So now I have to go, all right, what is my purpose now? The person that was there, that I understand that person. I carry so much from that person, but I also added another facet to it. So now I have to become who I am. And that was not popular because I had to embrace myself honestly. And that just is not where I came from. You weren't, they didn't want to know honesty. They didn't want to have a problem. When I was little, you didn't come to my parents with a problem. They didn't want to solve your problems. They wanted you to lie to them so they didn't have to deal with it. Which, that blew my mind because I wanted to deal with everything up front. And I would be like, let's talk, let's deal with this. And that was not the people I came from. Not at all. And so I came from a life, a childhood of shut up, leave me alone, take whatever I do to you, and whatever the world gives to you, because the world is mean, get used to it. And if you survive, great. If you don't, who cares? And I came from that. I came from people like that. And they cared for people that they shouldn't care for, and the things that should have been important, just didn't matter to them. It mattered to me. And so, because I look at every child as a spirit in training. And I feel like if you're a parent, that's a special role to have. That's a special thing to be the god or goddess in this child's life. To say, whoever you are, I'm here to help you get started. Now, at some point, you have to do it on your own. But until then, I'm here. I won't let anyone deter you from what you've got to do. Try to learn as much as you can. Try your best. Just try. And I'll be here. I'll have got your back. And then from then on, though, when you're stabilized, then you're on your own, because it's your journey. And that just wasn't the experience I had around children and parents with their children. Most parents are glorified babysitters, if that. And I don't know what you would call mine. I about got killed several times in my childhood. When I was in diapers, one time I accidentally escaped during a Cub. My mother was doing the Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts for my brothers, and one of the little Cub Scouts didn't close the door quick enough, and I was out the door down the street heading for the highway. It almost got run over. And it wasn't my time because this person who was playing basketball just stopped over and said, "Come here, little boy," and caught me. And then the little Cub Scouts, when they were all looking for me, he ran into them. But there was a huge ditch, there. I mean, I was booking. I remember it. I remember it thoroughly. And my mother would never admit how far I got away from her because she just couldn't deal with it. And when I was 6, I almost got ran over. And around that time, also, one time I fell down a big ditch. It could have really hurt me. Um, but the car almost got me. I mean, seriously. The running towards traffic as a 2-year-old or whatever I was, that would have been it. I would have been reincarnated again. But you know what? It might have been a better life if I had jumped out of that one, maybe. But then again, it would have been another unresolved spirit that didn't get to make it. So we would have started with the same baggage. I mean, I've got their baggage. The ones I'm reincarnated from, I have their baggage from the train before. So, I just had to do this life. And so I've been carrying around, but I understand what I have to carry for the dead that I'm reincarnated from. I understand what I needed to do for them. I also understand what I need to do as a spirit and a developing spirit. And they expect for you to learn and try and experience and expand. And so that you bring something with you when you die. Because when you die, that's what I remember. They're gonna go, what did you learn? It was like, well, okay, what you learn? Tell us. We're about to download your information, so we'll know it, but what did you learn? And you're the caretaker of this computer, so you have to know what the answer is. And I have a friend, and she may be listening out there. When I said, they asked that question, she's like, I don't know what I've learned. And she's about my age, and I was like, it's time to figure it out. And the worst thing to do when you're dying is to go, I'm not ready yet. Well, whether you're ready or not, it's happening. So you have to live your life really fully, and you have to figure it out. No one else is going to figure it out for you. No one can answer it for you. That's why, excuse me, we're going into the second hour, so I got to take a little sip of my little drink. That's why it's your journey. That's why you can take advice from family, you can take advice from friends, but it's up to you to decide what the heck you're going to do. I know a very dear friend right now, and he's in his 30s. And he's very close with his parents, but they're wanting to really interfere and tell him what to do with his life. And I'm like, it's not their life. It's not their learning. And here he is. He's a very developed, very spiritual, very, he's different spirituality than his mother, so that's a big issue. But he's got a great job. He functions. He's not married. Not probably going to get married. Who knows? Um, but he's living his life and doing his thing. But he's really worried with what his parents have to say. And I have to kind of go, well, it's really not about them. They've lived their life. You have to learn yours. And if they're going to disapprove of what your choices are, in a way, that's fine. To me, that, depending upon what choices you're making, not if you're going into being a drug dealer or something, that's a different issue. But if you're living your life and you're not hurting anyone, and this is what your journey is, it's your journey. Live it. Your mommy and your daddy lived their lives. My mommy and daddy lived their lives and did not end up happy. Didn't end up being particularly happy. My mother had some good months before she died. The place at the facility we were able to put her in. I would have brought her to my house and took care of her, but she didn't want that. And it was better because she got to be in a place and be around peers and get friends and go listen to music and had a great time. She had a great time at the end of her life. We helped facilitate that, but they just were, as people, they just weren't happy people. They didn't intend for their children to be happy. And if you got a partner, even if I mean, there's people, I mean, I know that, have partners they've had for long, 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 long times. And they didn't like any of them. It didn't matter who it was. And no matter how pretty they were, or smart they were, or functional, there was always something wrong. They were never happy. So in my life, I learned very quickly that, no matter what choice I make, they're not going to like it. And I tried to please them. And before I learned, this is my purpose, before I was murdered, I was trying to jump through hoops. I was trying to fit in. I was trying because I thought everyone makes such a big deal over family and everything. So I tried, and everything, nothing you do would work. Nothing you do makes them happy. No, nothing, you can jump 3 times in the air, do a flip, cut your head off in the middle of it, land, and go da da, and they would still not like it. So I learned that they didn't learn their lesson either. They just came in, punched a card, and popped out babies and had a life, and weren't happy because they had to have babies. And didn't want to do that, but they had to do that at their time. And resent, I guess, the people that don't have to do what they did. And no matter what they just weren't happy. And I was like, I have to make a choice not to be them. Because if I was younger and I tried anything that they used, any of the formula they used, it always ended in disaster and pain and horror. Just horror. Nothing positive, nothing good. And they didn't care. They didn't care about someone else's happiness or your child's happiness. Or, my mother could be. She was a good grandmother. She was a good grandmother to the children around her. And people loved her. Loved my mother. She loved them, but if as long as they weren't her responsibility. If they were her responsibility, then there was a problem. But they just missed. A lot of people just don't have the genetics, the brain matter, or the spirit intent to look past what life is. My father, they said, this is the box you're in, this is what you're doing. He did it. Hated every second of it. Hated everybody in the box. Hated everything that went with it. He did it because he had to. And, I mean, he had really strove to get out of what he had been raised in. But he hated every second of it. He hated the responsibility of children. He hated us and was jealous of us, So, um, and I mean, my brothers turned out to be very smart. I've turned out in my older years to be a metaphysician. I'm considered intelligent in what I do. But they always thought I was stupid and ugly, and uh, when I was going to die, they thought, well, that embarrassment's gone. So, so I didn't have to worry about that when I got older. Now, I took care of my mother and my father both toward their end, but because that was my karma. But they didn't fulfill whatever their purpose was. So I look at it like I'm a spirit in the dark, going along the path of life with my lantern, looking for. I have my eye on the prize. I'm a sewing machine. I get one thing done, chunk. Next thing, chunk. Next thing, chunk. And I know what I need to do. I know what I want to do, and then any of it, my real serious stuff, I already had finished years ago. So if I died tomorrow, it's all gravy. It's all good. So now there are things that I'm like, oh, okay, if I get these things done, then I won't worry about them later. And even if I die now, I'm going to try to make it where I don't worry about them. Like, oh, I didn't make it. Because when you die, when they're asking what did you learn, it's like you've been sent out from a football team and you come back and go, I dropped the ball. And they sometimes will go, okay, well that's all right. What'd you learn from it? And it's like, oh, it's okay to try as long as you tried. And I'm trying, but there are a few things I feel like now because of the processes I have that I can um, succeed at. Um, that I can succeed. That will help me when I leave this world again to go, yeah, I left my mark. I left what I needed to leave. I don't have to worry about it anymore because I definitely don't want to check back in when I check out. I have been there, done this. I want to. They can give me a new job. They can put me. I will help people. I will be a guide. I will do something. I will say, the exits are to the left, to the sides, and the rear. Good luck. But and kick people down the spirit slide as they're coming in here. But I don't want to come back and do this again because this one has been too much of a pill, as they used to say, too much of a trouble. Um, because the thing I find out is this: I'm stronger and tougher, but I'm still very sensitive. I still worry about this and worry about that, and try and help people. And then when that in human nature and dealing with human nature, I have to deal with sometimes that are rough, that don't give a damn. Uh, you have to say I care too much, and I'm done. I want to do what I got to get done. Watch the people that I want to help and get them through this, and then move on. And but I want to share and have fun, and I want to dance in the sun until then. I mean, every second is a gift for me. And every day is a gift, even if it's hard. After it's over, I still go, well, at least I'm able to do something. I'm able to make decisions and function and learn, so I'm still of use. If I become where I can't be of use, or my body isn't of use to me, or I can't function anymore, then it's no need. Um, but, like I said, I go through. My spirit feels like sometimes I'm just going down the dark hallway, going toward the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm trying to get these things out of the way that matter to me as a person that's living that won't matter much when I'm dead. It won't matter much when I'm dead, but it does while you're alive because it is a challenge. You are sent here with a challenge. And like I said, we are the living dead. But you know, you got to be. Your spirit has to be the conscious one. You're in this world to create something new. You're amongst the people who are just moving through the motions. And there are a lot of people who are damaged and they really don't see through. They see dimly through a dark glass dimly. What is it? What look through a dark glass dimly. They don't look to the left. They don't look to the right. They don't worry about. They're so scared that they're not going to meet someone else's standards or someone's rules or someone's instructions. They don't take chances. They don't do anything outside of what they're told or what they think is the least. There are some people who live their lives and they live their lives as full as they know how. That's it. Maybe that was all they needed to do. Then there are some people who feel unfulfilled and they have to stretch. Then there are people who are loafers through life. I know a lot of those. I'm related to a lot of those. Um, they never, I know people who are older than me that have never had to worry a day in their life. And they have the worst behavior. They're spoiled. They're entitled. They've never missed a meal. They don't know what it is to be afraid, really afraid. Um, and they're so unappreciative for life. And that's like, it's like a drowning, to me, it's like parts of my life, I've felt like a drowning person. I appreciate air. You know, I understand what happens when you don't tread water. I understand what happens when you don't fight to live. I understand what it is not to try to take a higher road sometimes. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you cannot take a higher road. And that's my most unfavorite thing to do. I like, as a southern gentleman, I like to be a southern gentleman. But sometimes you can't be. And sometimes you have to do what you gotta do. And I actually just went through something a while ago. Um, and we've talked about before on other shows, dimensional walls. Well, we go through dimensional hallways all the time. We go through them, we go down them, we have our own dimensional ripples that are caused by our auras and our functioning within those dimensional hallways, which are made out of moving, vibrating material. And it's kind of like being in a intestine. Sometimes the energy will make the frequency of what's going on will tighten the hallway, and it will almost push you like roller you like a tube of toothpaste. Pressure builds and pushes, and then you release into something, or the pressure causes something, energy to release in a different way, or it's we have all this going, and as a spirit, if you are understanding and aware of your own spirit and what you're doing and what your purpose is, regardless of whatever anyone else's purpose is, and you keep going and going and going, uh, you just you know for a lot of psychics, they'll tell you, our spirits, it's like foggy streets in these hallways, the dimensional things. And our spirit looks like a light in a foggy street because your orb, your aura, your third eye, your electromagnetic field glows. So it looks, as a living person, we just look like lights to the other people the ghosts, the spirits, the wanderers that are around us. Well, the same thing is correct for living people. Sometimes they're unaware of who you are. They're just like in a daze. They don't look at anyone else. They don't think about anyone else, only themselves. And there are some people who think too much of other people and other things and don't ever accomplish anything for themselves. And you have to balance that because you have to be able. It's like, if you try and bring everyone else on your raft and you're already struggling, um, everyone sinks on the raft. No one gets saved. And you have to get your raft in order, before you can help other people. And then you can help people, around the edges. But you have to have your raft, your life, functioning for you. Then you can help people. But there are people who are like vampires who, they're not getting what they want in life. They don't understand their purpose. They're not trying to get their and some of them don't even give a dang about that. But they're not happy. They're not happy. You're happy. I know people that are jealous of me being happy, and I'm just happy. You wouldn't know it by looking at me probably, but I'm a pretty happy person. And there was actually a former friend who was pushing something and was going, pushing a promotion or an infomercial for a belief system that I don't care for. But they were pushing, you're going to be so happy when you get this. And it's like, no, I'm happy as I am. That wasn't a good answer. They weren't happy with that. They're not happy that I'm happy. I don't need anything to be happy. I'm happy. And they want you to be happy with whatever they're going to tell you you're happy with. And see, I decide what makes me happy, not them. And they need to decide what makes them happy, but they're unhappy. So, and they're unhappy, I'm happy. They're unhappy, other people are happy. And they aren't willing to do the work to make themselves happy, or don't even know how to do it. But it takes an effort. It really is. Uh, it's worth reaching outside of yourself to try. Even if you're disabled, if you're this or that, you can do something in your life or with your life or for your life or for someone else's life. But you can do something, but you need to try because that is so important and it helps your confidence and it helps who you are just to try. But this person, they're taker because, and it's a shame because inside them I can see that they have more than that, but right now they're taking, and what they can't take they try to destroy because that is it's just foreign to them. And and everybody wants to be happy, but what's your happiness? Is your happiness causing unhappiness? Is that a good purpose? Is that your purpose? Well, how do you, if you succeed in making people unhappy, how's that going to make you feel in the end? I can tell you from my father, didn't make him much happier, but he really didn't care. But some people, maybe they should care. Maybe, you have the right to fail and fall over, but you don't have the right to be abusive or to be bullying or to be anything. I can sit here and tell you what my ideas are. But if things are somebody's around me and they have something going on that is not appropriate for me, that's okay. Just separate it from me. You can be my friend. Separate that. If I know something's going to disturb somebody, I don't put it on them. But don't put it on me either. Now, because people think, because if you're, of course, I'm very special. I'm gay. I'm all this other stuff. I'm metaphysical. I struggle with health issues and things like that because of just being born. I think my mother and father's soup probably wasn't all there. So, and I was the last one coming out of the easy bake oven, so I have issues physically before I ever got stumped. And so every year is a struggle. And for some reason, they think that's a weakness to be kind or considerate or to want peace or to want, you know, they don't understand still water, deep and still water. And they understand rapids and destruction and blah 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 blah, and nothing lasts. And they're used to everything being chaotic. So when people meet me, if they don't like calmness, they're not gonna like me because I like calm. I like peace. I'm not there. I like in my business. I am there as a person, an elder, as a spiritual guidance. I'm not there to push something on them. I'm there to be to open my arms and say, "Come to me, and if I can help you, I'll help you." But you have to help yourself too. And I'll look at see if there's something I can do to help guide you to find what you need. But you have to do the effort. You have to do the effort. And because my energy, everybody's energy is different. And if your energy is intense, it doesn't always go well with everybody. And my energy has always been intense. And that doesn't mean, that you're a great person, a great this, or a great that. It just means I have intense energy because I've had to always be high energy. As a child, I was always on the edge. I was happy, but when I started, then I became a very frightened person and had to be a frightened child. And then I had to be a frightened young adult. And then I became an angry young adult for a little while. And then I had to get over that, because you have to go through all the phases of mourning. And when you're abused really hard, you go through phases that are not great, And so when I'm talking to you, I'm not acting like, I'm a saint, a sissy's, coming to you and say, I've been through it. I've seen everything that I think I can pretty well see. That got, been through pretty much a lot of what everyone can talk about, except I was able to avoid drinking and drugs. That is something, honey. I'm so glad I purposely didn't get into. But I have been through abuse. I was, mental, spiritual, sexual, everything as a child, fed to a pedophile, because that seemed to be a family thing. Um, which, if we ever did a show on that, but I don't think I want to. Uh, but, mentally, spiritually, physically, everything like that. And you there are so many people who go through so much worse. So when I talk about these things I'm not wanting, I'm using them as examples. And as a person, I had to take stock and go, okay, I have to make sure I don't allow this. I don't do this. I don't pass this on. I don't have children to torture. Uh, so, um, I don't have to worry about that. But I have nieces and nephews, and I tried to, the ones that I could, be kind to, I tried to be kind to them. I tried to be kind to people, even ones that have not been good to me, I've tried. Um, doesn't always work or do anything, but I try. Um, but I have to look at what is my purpose, and does it hurt me to strike back at these people who strike me? And even if you're a good person and try to live a good life, that doesn't mean it won't come to you in a bad way. I mean, I've had to go through a lot of hardships. I have to put up with something every year that I'm like, really? Shouldn't that just not happen anymore? You know, but I think it's all lessons and things. And then people who are learning and doing, and they come to you, and, if they're not happy in their life, they're going to be taking it out on you because what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to fix it. You can't fix it. I can only fix myself. But I try to use my experience to help other people. So, as a living dead person, you know, I look at it and it go, quit being a living dead person. Wake up. You know, find your purpose. Be spiritual. Be mental. Be aware. If your parents abused you, or your family abused you, or someone else abused you, don't do it. Don't pass it on. If someone taught you, that truth isn't the way, find truth. Find your own truth. And stick with it. I stick to my truth, and that doesn't always make me popular. Um, I think you should believe what you want to believe, but just don't force it on me, and I won't force it on you. But don't come into trying it. And nowadays, the thing is, the things that are going on in the world, the rise of racism, the rise of homophobia, the rise of um, what do you want to call it? White supremacy, Nazism, neo Nazis, and all this stuff. It's nothing new. Um, I would hope at this stage in our lives we would be past those things, and they fester. It goes from one extreme to the other. And what's happened is it's nothing new. It's not you have to let the ugly come to the surface so that we can raise our energy and conquer those things. But it will always come back in some other form. And because it is a challenge. And do we meet the challenge? A lot of times we do, a lot of times we don't. As people, we fail ourselves, we fail our children, we fail blah, blah, blah. But, and then there's things, there's no way to conquer it because there's just so many people angry because their life didn't turn out. Well, so what? A lot of people's lives don't turn out. That doesn't mean you have to be a hateful, angry person. You know, um, how do you want to leave this world? Happy or pinched? You know, um, so we have to look at those that are primitive in their thinking and think it's a great thing to hurt other people, kill other people because they aren't us. It's not new. It's not ever going to quite ever go away because humans seem to have that. I think when people talk about the UFO thing, I think the UFO thing is they come and check to make sure we aren't poisoning the universe because with nuclear stuff, but they really that's about it. They don't really that I think they have us figured out pretty well. Now, I would not ever be surprised if they did say, "Well, they're fat enough now. I want an order of fries and a Coke to go with that fat person over there. We're ready." You know, but I don't think they're here to give great consciousness and whatever to us. I think they want to make sure we don't poison what we have, because then what we have poisons what they've got. Uh, I don't think there's an amazing thing with that. I think that our interactions with the ancients have been documented in the our oldest written records. So it wasn't quite a great thing. We get great things from them, but we also not so great stuff. Because they were here to get stuff. They were here to use what we have. That's what we would do anywhere we go. So I feel like that's what's happened is, other people came from other places, got what they needed, had a little sex with a few people, there and whatever's there, and then make a mess and take off in their trailer and go to the next place to run it. And that's kind of like what we'll do. But spiritually, what we do spiritually here in what we do in our lives goes with us into the next level. So, whatever you do, good or bad, you can make your mistakes. Um, Everyone makes them, big deal. Don't keep yourself spiritually hung up because you didn't do something the way you think you should. But you have to rise above it, baby. You have to figure out this life, and no one else is going to do it for you. But what you think, everything you've thought, ever since your mind came out of the womb, um, it's been thinking, it's been recording. When you die, every second has been recorded, up to about 3 million hours. And then that gets downloaded. So everything you've done, everything you've been through, it's free. It doesn't go anywhere. Away. It doesn't go away. It goes into a consciousness, and then when people are reborn, it goes into their DNA and their memory. So what you've done is there somewhere, and it can help. It can be a help, it can be a hurt, it can be a warning, it can be a hindrance, it can be a help. So what are you going to do with your living dead life? Are you just going to kind of go and punch the clock? Or are you going to figure out what you need to do and work around it and help other people, help yourself, get off your duff, and accomplish? I'm really, at this age in my life, I'm accomplishing a lot that I just had no idea I would be accomplishing at this age. Because when I was young, if you didn't accomplish something in your 20s and 30s, you were just lost. And I blossomed so much later that it's really, really bizarre. But I've gotten a lot accomplished at this age. But I'm enjoying it at this age. I'm enjoying being an old curmudgeon and being Aunt Mark and Uncle Mark and being hey you. Um, I wouldn't trade life for the hard times at all. And any second that I have, wow, what a what a chance, and I'm trying to fill it with something. Because, it took a long time for me to get it together. And because even after being attacked and doing all that and having to spend years and trying to then figure out how to deal with my life and to be myself and become the person I am and make the mistakes I make and made and learned from, and how to deal with people, because that's a big thing, honey. Because sometimes people just don't make any sense. They don't make any sense. You can't deal with some of them. And I like to deal with people I can say, hey, I have a problem. Let's sit down. I have a problem with you. Let's sit down and talk. Or you have a problem with me. Or is there a problem? Let's talk with this. That's the way I am. That's not how it goes down a lot. And also, I'm going through the thing of, the younger people don't know how, that's like, yeah, 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 yeah. An older person's telling me. Well, the older person sometimes knows. Sometimes they don't know for you, but they do know. A lot of stuff. So, if they're getting wise, or, if they've got some wisdom, take it. And we don't spend enough time in the moment with people. People sit around on their phones and on their internet and on their TVs, and they're sitting there instead of talking to you face to face. And you only have a few times sometimes with people, that you love. When they die, maybe you've had 50 to 100 moments with them in person, maybe not even that. Maybe thousands, maybe not. But you waste it by paying attention to your video games and your phones and your stuff. Engage. I think they have some colleges that have classes to teach people to sit and talk to each other. That's pretty damn sad. Um, I could have used that actually when I was young, just because I was so scared of everything. I would love to have been able to sit down with people, but I was scared to. But now it's not that they're afraid to; they just don't know how. They don't know how to talk to someone, and that's sad. And people who are like that have been parents that have been like big babysitters. They put the TV on, the movie on. When people started putting VHS tapes in, honey, they would, if the child liked Hercules or Snow White, they'd put that in, and that's what that child would watch over and over and over and over and over 5 million times, instead of worrying about, go outside and play, go out and do something with your hands, get out of my face, go walk, go get in the sunlight, go draw, go, none of that. It's gone away. And I mean, when I was a child, really seriously, I felt like I walked millions of miles just looking at things. There were times I think if something had happened to me, they wouldn't have known where I was because I would walk, you know, into woods. I wanted to go walking around woods, uh, seeing new places or thinking, because I love to think and walk. And there are kids now that would die if they had to walk half a mile. I would walk miles. I remember in the 80s when I was really starving, I would take a week and do artwork on pastels and things like that. And I would just fill up a satchel full of art. And I would walk about 7 miles round trip and go to different places and sell my art to people so I could eat. And I actually did that quite often. And I was be able to eat. Not like what you would think, but I would eat. And it worked. But, I love to walk. I wish I could walk like I used to. Um, that that was hard. Because, um, if I go half a block now, that the hip goes, I have a hip that wants to pop out, or the pain hits in, and you kind of go, well. But I love to walk. But now I love to drive. I love to drive. I love to think. I love to be quiet. People can't be quiet anymore. They have ADHD, and it has to be noise all the time. It has to be stimulation. And find your quiet. Find your spirit. Go, all right, this is who I am. How am I going to do this? What's my journey? How I'm going to do it? And the people around me, is there people I really need to help? And if I can, what can I do? Sometimes it's just telling somebody a nice word, saying, it's all right. You're going to be okay. None of us get out of it alive. It's going to be okay. And you can walk through the living dead. You can be the living dead, but don't be a zombie. Don't be a vampire. Don't be feeding on people. Don't. And some people just don't know what to do, so that's all they do. They just sit and they're not living. And sometimes you can't tell someone how to live. And I've known so many people that just wasted their lives. It was theirs to waste. But, and I seriously have heard several that went, two, they went, I'm not ready yet, or I'm not ready to go. And then they had a problem after they died. The spirit, they didn't want to go. Well, it was time to go. There is no, when it's time to go, baby, the bus leaves. If the bus leaves and you don't go to it right then, you can catch it later. But a lot of people don't do that because they're so afraid. That, I mean, we have so many constructs about, oh, when you die it's like this, and there's no, you can't question it, and it's nothing. You're, and there's so many people believe when you die you lay down and that's it, you're dead until Jesus comes back, or it's the devil to think about, it's evil to think that there's a life after death. It's our soul and our spirit. It's energy. It doesn't there we're just, it's a continuation. And what I got to see of death, it was a lot more active than my life was at that time. Take my word for it. I thought, well, you're not sitting on a cloud with a harp, and they expect you to function and to think and to be and to jump in there, and I'm always a person that does like to be busy. I like to think. So I like to be helpful. I like to be productive. I like to do those things. So, the death prospect doesn't bother me because it is a continuation. As a matter of fact, you feel like you know that side. This is the problem. This is the mystery. Because it's a drama, it's a theater every day. I mean, the last month I've had something every week, something dramatic. Car breaks down. Person says, going to be $4,000 to $6,000. Ah, neighbor, friend comes fixes it, $30. But the stress I went through thinking, how am I going to get $4,000? You know, uh, uh, people that are close to me having strokes, people and surviving, and people near me having other issues and wrecks and being hit by cars, and people uh, causing drama for no reason. And then wondering why I'm mad because they're causing trouble for me when they should leave me alone. And trying to, it's like if you don't like it or like me, get away. Leave me alone. Just stay away. Go live your own life. Can't do it because they like, I can irritate you. And so in the last month, every week has been like uh, a, a soap opera. And I'm like, come on, guys. I just want to live. I just want to make do. I want to make it. I want to be happy. I want to try. And you have to, excuse me. You have to take those and roll with them. Let the water roll off your back. And like Jinx Monsoon says, water off a duck's back. You got to roll with it. You can't let it get in your head. You can't let it stop you. And the people who are dead weight, saw that limb off. And if there's something you can't help but you love them, you can say, I love you, but I just can't help you. And not feel bad about that. And there are people that you have to decide not to, if it, if there's nothing you can do to help them and there's nothing to do that is not adding to their life or your life, and they're being destructive because they're holding you accountable for something that they can't do or won't do, or you're supposed to fix it. Sometimes you can't fix other people's lives. We can barely fix our own lives. You know, it is a challenge to get all of this done. And, try to get it done. Try to not be distracted. And that's what these things are, they're distractions to see what you get. Because they'll say, look at what we threw at you. What did you do to that? What did good for you, you figured it out. Or, ooh, that was a bonehead move, Try it again. Next time you go out there, try it again. So, don't be we are the living dead. we have all these thousands of people living in us. We have all these people that we've been before that are a part of us, but now it's the new you. Take the new you, make a new life, figure out the new problems, figure out the new solutions, figure out what makes you happy. And if you aren't happy, figure out what will make you happy. Whether it's go get therapy, go do whatever it takes. Do what it takes to make yourself happy. If you have a child dealing with depression, deal with the depression. Deal with the child. You're there. Help them. Help people that you can. Do not help people who are takers. You will not benefit them. You will not benefit yourself. You're living their life. You can't live their lives. You cannot save those who do not want to save themselves. And then there are people that have struggles that, help. You'll help to the end. And those are people, as long as they're giving and trying, that's a different thing. But takers, vampires, um, discarnate people, not just discarnate spirits who are wandering around taking whatever they get. Discarnate people. Don't put up with that for a second. Get direction and figure it out. Try to be the best person you can. That's all you can do. And if you fail, hell, I get mad. I had someone who pulled my trigger not too long ago. And I felt my father coming through me, and I thought, oh, no, 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 no. So I had to stop and go, no, that's not for me. And then I got a grip on the situation, and I didn't allow my very potent rage, which I have, to take over. And I made a conscious decision, and you have to do those things. And people can make you mad. If they come back to you and it's because you have a problem with it, because it's a tiff or it's a misunderstanding or a problem, and you can work it out, great. If it's a real issue, like really issue that is not fixable, don't deal with it. Don't deal with them. It's okay to say no. I just can't. We have to agree not to agree or to be around each other. Because if it's poison, it's poison. You're as poison to them as they are to you, and you don't need to do that. Now, I hope it helps somebody today. But try to be mindful, to be a living spirit amongst the living dead. We are the living dead, but be a living spirit. Be conscious. Uh, Try to overcome as much as possible. Remember, children are spirits in training, and get them to be more conscious and aware. Get them off some of this electronic stuff. Get them into the world. Get them into nature. Let them see what's out there. Talk with your children. Talk with your friends. Put those phones down. Look people in the eye. Remember that when they go or you go, what will they remember? Do they have special times you remember sitting with your mom, talking with her, or your dad, or a special friend? When they're gone, do you have wonderful moments, or oh damn it, I wish I had done that, or I wish I'd thought of that? Do it. Don't think it. Do it. Spend your time. Be aware. Be a giver, but don't be silly. Don't be foolish. And remember, other people have to learn their lessons too. Let them learn their lessons while you learn yours. We don't all know it all at one time. And even progressed metaphysical people don't know it all. And they have to do their own journey. But metaphysical people who've been through things, we can help others. And which is my pleasure to help others. And I have fun doing it. And I do it with joy, and I'm grateful for the life and the breath I have every day. Believe it. And when it's over, honey, I had all decades above ground that I didn't have before. And so, you just have to live your life and enjoy it and love the people you love them as much as you can. Spend as much time as you can being current, being present. Look them in the eyes and let them know without doubt what you think. And even if you have friends who you love that are it's not working, well, maybe their journey and your journey has come to an end and they need to go do something else because they have to develop. And it may not, don't take it personal, just move on. Now, I'm going to tell people before all the end of this, we have just a few minutes left. Um, Thank you for coming and listening to me. Now, people who want to meet me in person, I live in Milton, Florida, which is about 30 minutes from Pensacola, Florida. And on the weekends, I have a little metaphysical gift store at Pea Ridge Flea Market. And if you look at me on Facebook, Mark Elliott, Elliott, Fultz, Fults. You'll see I put postings all the time about what I'm doing. Right now, I'm running specials on readings. I do metaphysical tarot readings and do a little bit of channeling and a little bit of mediumship when I do these readings. And I do specials because right now, everybody's having a hard time making it work, making it living. Even people I know that make good money can't make it right now. It's just hard. And this will get better, but we go through this, but it's hard. So I do readings for $20. I have incense and candles and I just like to meet people and talk to people. And if you want to see me in person, I on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm at the Pea Ridge Flea Market, Space 29, near the indoor mall. Now, there's an indoor mall that's got great stuff in it. People, when they look at this mall, the way it's laid out, it's hard to see way back. So I'm really at the end of it toward the mall. And we have a fun time down there. I have some great friends down there. We hee haw all the time. And actually, you can find some really good stuff at this flea market. Uh, I love antiques. I have found some good bargains. So, but I want to tell you if you want to come down on the weekends, come to see me at Gypsy Moon. And I haven't got my website up yet, but I'm going to be working on that next month to get that up and going. The phone number there, if you look on my Facebook, you can find my phone number for contacting me at the store. And if you can't make it to the store, I do readings over the phone. And I hope that you enjoy this show. On the radio show, at the end of it, I always, when it was before visuals, I'd go, all of you out there in the dark, don't touch that dial. So it's very unique and different to be here and to do visual. And I hope I didn't scare you too much by showing my face. And I hope all of you have a good day tomorrow. It's beautiful out. The moon has been beautiful during the day. It's been fabulous. Get out there, get into the world, breathe, and be a happy person. And to all of you who've tuned in to listen to me, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And so, to all of you, until next week, good night. Good night.